Saturday afternoon, Channel 504. Sydney has won 9 of their last 10 over North Melbourne, 2 of those at ANZ Stadium. Barry Hall, let's have a look at the Sydney Swans in and out.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sammy Reid out with that hamstring. Nick Smith comes in, as I said before, one of the best small backmen in the game. He's really important to him. Look, the clearance situation for me is a real issue for the Sydney Swans, and the ruck situation with Goldstein in the middle. North are ranked 4th for the centre clearances. Swans are ranked 12th, so it's a real issue. They need to start sharking some taps, and Big Mike Pike just needs to start neutralising some of those ruck situations. They've got some pretty dominant midfielders in there. Joshy Kennedy, 39 last week. Hanbury, 34. But it was all about accuracy last week. Shots at goal just killed them. They really had to crack the Swans. They were fantastic, as we see on screen there. 26, but nearly 27% goal kicking accuracy. 7 goals, 18. Third lowest in the AFL in this season. That cost them the game. As I said, they cracked in. They had 12 more inside 50s than Fremantle. Just got to kick the goals. Have to kick the goals.
7 out of 25 ain't great, Baz. You're not going to win too many by doing that. And Johnny Longmire is the coach. He has won 7 out of the 12 finals he has coached in. Talked about a few things during this week, including the accuracy.
I think we played a pretty strong brand of footy. We just didn't finish our work off. So I think that the players went over to Perth and played a really strong brand of football for most of the game. So we're confident we've got a really strong group of leaders who are able to focus on the job at hand, and they were able to do that last week, and I'm confident they'll be able to do it again. Well, we know we've got some quality players out, you can't deny that, but when we put the names up on the match committee board, we look at the players we've got playing for us rather than the ones that we haven't, and that's what we focus on.
Well, they're going to have to focus on North Melbourne. Unchanged lineup, very settled and confident at the moment. Their best form in this competition can rival any team. So this is a big game for both clubs. They'll like to take the advantage with some of the key outs that Sydney have got. Their centre line is very, very strong now. Thompson Tarrant's been playing some brilliant footy as one of the key backs. Zeeble would be looking for a big game this week, but then you've got Petrie and Waite up forward as your key bigs. Their forward line has got so much flexibility about it now. All those bigs come up at the footy, which I like. They can get in behind as well. But that just adds to, I think, Lindsay Thomas, if he gets a full game, will look to have a significant impact. And Boomer Harvey, what he did last week as a 37-year-old was just quite significant and brilliant.
Looking to atone for last year's showing up there, they got blown off the map. Brad Scott spoke to the press this morning.
We're physically prepared more than we were, or better than we were this time last year. A lot of our players have now had good finals experience. They've had experience winning finals. And so all that goes to your preparation. And, I think we've had some performances we weren't happy with this year, but we've had some really good performances as well. And our preparation's always been geared around being at our best at this time of year, and we feel we're very close to it. The strength of the Sydney Swans over a generation has been their ability to compete really hard regardless of the 22 that represent them each week. Once the ball bounces on Saturday night, it'll just be another game for us, albeit one with much higher stakes.
Another game with plenty of key matchups, I think, this week, especially for the Roos forwards versus the Swans backs. And you look across there, Brent Harvey, does McVeigh get him because he can actually go up the ground with him, control things, uses the ball well out of the defence as well. McVeigh, Petrie v Grundy will be a big matchup. Higgins versus Rampy, that could be either a Nick Smith as well, back into the lineup, could go to Sean Higgins. Brent Brown versus Laidler, it's going to be a challenge for Laidler because he likes to get off as well. Jared Waite is another key matchup there with Richards, who just signed a deal. But Jared Waite last week, boys, how good was he in his finals appearance for the North Melbourne in their colours, first time in a big final, and he produced.
As long as he comes at the footy, watch everything he does. If he comes at the footy, he tends to jump pretty high and gets a bit of hang time. And when he does that, his rump is literally in looking right in the face of the defender because he's got such a good spring, gives them no chance. And if he's up against the number 3 backman defender, Baz, he does pretty well.
Well, that's what he should be doing, and that's probably why he's there. They stretch all the defences, but it's really important for him to take that first clunk and kick the first goal, and he's away then. We know what sort of talent he's got.
He tackled well last week as well, so that defensive side of the game, without going over the top and giving away a silly free kick or getting reported, it was controlled, it was great aggression, and he backed it up with the goals to match.
There is numbers from September performances, averages from the 4 finals he's played in. Ranking points, he's up around 100, 3.5 goals a game, 13 disposals, 2 contested marks, 1 each half. That would be very, very beneficial to the North Melbourne forward line if he could emulate those feats again. Parko, let's have a look at the midfield matchups. where a lot of people say it is won and lost.
Well, and Barry's right, because the efforts of Goldstein, backed up by Brown and Petrie, has given this fantastic start at clearances, at all the stoppages. They've been doing brilliantly. So the work of Tippett added to Pike is going to be absolutely crucial. Yep. They run not as deep. North Melbourne only run 9 through here, and you think that Kieran, Jack and Parker are both missing, that would take them up to 14 that normally run through the midfield. And they should be able, you reckon Sydney should be able to, but it's the difference in the rucking department which I think, again, will be the difference in this game.
And if you noticed last week, every team that won the 4 games just gave great pressure and heat. North Melbourne, no different. They came out after half-time, and this is some of the stuff they were able to dish up here. 2 get to the 1 tackle, just stripping the ball, and they get the turnover there. Cunnington led the way. See Robbie Nahas lay one on Troy Chaplin here. He runs, but he's almost still.
Yeah, he tried to get back on the left leg.
As a key backman, you don't really want to take on a small forward, do you?
No, not at all. But that's the pressure there, isn't it? It's a double-up tackle.
Fantastic.
Once the ball hit the deck, look, North Melbourne, first 2 to the next contest to support, swallowed. That was the difference in the game.
It turned the game, didn't it? The first 5 minutes after half-time, it absolutely turned the game. Great pressure from North.
Agreed.
Ben Jacobs was a very talented youngster coming into the game and couldn't really nail a position. He's got one now, though, Jono. Well, let's have a look at his possible matchup. He'd been brilliant over the second half of the season. He took Cochin to town last week. Will he go to Hanbury or Big Josh? Josh might be a little big for him. He's the same size as Trent Crode. Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, well, he is. I'd put it on the skipper swallow. I'd send Jacobs to Hanbury, possibly Jetta if he gets that outside run going, but that's a scary matchup right there. Does it surprise you how well Jacobs has gone, Derm?
I always thought he was a really talented player, but to me he was always one of those guys who had a really nice kicking action, but had low percentage effectiveness. He kept giving it back to the opposition. So with all that talent, he couldn't be lost to league footy, so they had to find a new role for him, and he's certainly got one now, and he's proven a few coaches wrong that the tagger is not dead.
Can I ask you the other way? Who's going to get Harvey? The other way going. That's a bit different, isn't it? Is it going to be McVeigh? Or it might be one of the Macs.
I had McVeigh in that matchup. I know Baz would like him down the other end of the ground, McVeigh. So McGlynn's the other one. Yeah, that's a good matchup. Very strong. McGlynn's done that in the past.
He's not playing well either. Help him get in game and get to the ball. So
absolutely. He was a bit fumbly last week. Decision making was poor. McGlynn, so it could be him. Barry, let's have a look at the Sydney Swans forwards and the North backman.
Yeah, we spoke about McVeigh. I've actually got him in my forward line. Really smart player. I think Atlee will go to
busy.
He's all over the joint. Atlee's had a really good year. Adam Goods, 25 possessions last week. I think Scotty Thompson will go to him. Isaac Henney, AFLPA, best first-year player. I think Sammy Wright will go to him. Ferrito to Rowan. And Big Donny Towers had not a bad game for kick straight last week. I think Lockie Hanson will go to him. The big one for me is Tippett. I think Robbie Tarrant, the best stopper they got, will go to Big Tippett.
And once again, you look at all Tippett's, I mean, these are damaging disposals. Look what he's doing. He's coming at the ball carrier again. And if you're 6'7", and you're just showing a clean pair of heels and a big, wide back to your opponent, they're never going to get to the spoil. They're hoping for this. They're a half chance. He's in such good form. He plunks one against Rory there.
One thing he did do early was he got caught up in the body-on-body too much. Rather than using your assets, actually run and meet the footy.
Yep.
You know, he's 6'7". Run and jump at it. Not many people are going to spoil it.
You mentioned that matchup, Towers and Hanson. That could be critical. Towers needs to engage so Hanson can't get off to be that third man up.
He'll be looking at Tippo, won't he? Won't be playing on him, but he'll be kind of playing against him. Alrighty, Saturday's lineup. Let's have a look at this one as it stands. Sandy, Jason, myself, Bazza, you're in, Kingy, and Gerald Healy. He's coming in there as well. There's Kingy. All right, 6:30. Finals footy on Fox. Baz, who are you going for?
Swans have won 8 out of 9 at ANZ Stadium finals, so I think the Swans can do it.
I think I'm with you again. I think the Swans.
No, I'm the other way. My boys.
Your boys.
The Kangaroos. Look out, they'll come to play.
Split panel.
Swans.
Very. Sydney Swans have been so good, but they've been such a dour struggle, they might just fall over at some stage. They're running out of soldiers. So just on that one, going for a very slim, shallow win to North Melbourne. Let's have a look at the records now. $10